Hi, I'm Lori, and this is Random Acts of Mindless, where the topics are random and we're mindless because we don't overthink things, we don't get in our own way, we just go out, we do, and we see what kind of adventure life can be. Today's random topic is a tribute to my father in law, Jerry. Um, Unfortunately, we lost him about 3 months ago, and I'm smiling because I'm thinking of a story to share with you that makes me smile every time I talk about it. So I just, I hope that as I move through life, I do things that put a smile on people's faces, and I hope that I do things that make people laugh. And hey, life's a win if I do that, right? So I would like to share a story. We used to have a pumpkin carving party when our children were little. Um, So we're looking at like 12 years ago now. And we would have friends over and family and neighbors, and everybody would bring a pumpkin. And then we would have, things like paints and markers and carving tools and stencils and things like that that people could use to decorate them. And then we would all be out on the deck and carving our pumpkins and decorating them and talking and eating and drinking, and and the kids are running around and everybody's just having a great time. So my father-in-law was out on the deck with my brother, and Jerry, my father-in-law, was just a very intelligent man. He read a lot, so he knew a lot about a lot of different things. And so my brother loved talking to him. So the two of them were out on the deck, they're carving their pumpkins and they're talking. And I was in the house and I looked out through the sliding glass door and I noticed my brother's face. And it was kind of like, he was like squinting, and I'm seeing like the lip go up to one side, and I'm like, I know that look. He is trying not to laugh. Like, and when I mean he was trying not to laugh, it was his, if I start laughing, I'm going to start crying face. So I'm thinking, what is going on? So I look at my father-in-law, and here he had used a stencil and he cut out all the little pieces. And normally, what you would do is you would cut out all the little pieces, you would toss the little pieces, and you would put the big piece on your pumpkin, right? And you would either like pin it in and, cut out your little pieces that way, or you would put it on there and trace out the little pieces with a marker and then take it off and then do it that way, right? Well, my father-in-law had cut out all the little pieces and threw away the big piece. So the actual stencil he threw out, like crumbled up and chucked. And now he's got, and it was no easy stencil. There were like 25 of these tiny little pieces. He's got all these little pieces, and he's there placing each one individually, carving, placing another one individually, carving, right? With all these little 25 pieces. My brother's there talking to him about who only knows what. I mean, they would talk about a million different topics when they talked. So, and he's trying his hardest not to lose it laughing, right? So the funniest thing about this whole story is that there was no guide, mind you. The big sheet that was the guide that put the stuff in the right places, he had literally crumpled up and tossed. So he didn't have that. So only the tiny pieces. He did this whole thing, and when he was done, it was perfect. Like, who could do that? I mean, it was this painstaking process. This should have taken 10 to 15 minutes because of the way he did it. It was like, I don't know, an hour and a half or something. And if anybody else had done it, there is no way it would have resembled anything. But it was absolutely perfect when he was done. And my brother and I will still talk about that. Even though it's been 12 years, we will still talk about that exact moment. And just, it was so funny. We laugh about it and it brings us to tears every time we talk about it. It's just, I don't know how he did it. It was perfect. It was perfect with no guide. That could be, though, because he worked at a printing company for his entire career. He started at a printing company when he was like 18 or 19 and retired from there, and he made posters. So I can only assume that in the process that they did, they only used the small pieces. And so that's what he was used to, and that's what he did. And he showed his skills. Um, that same printing company had awarded him like Employee of the Month at some point, and with that, his portrait was taken and it was put up in the lobby of the company. And at some point, they gave my father-in-law this portrait, and my husband saw it and commented on what a nice picture it was of his dad, and it is. And so my father-in-law gave it to my husband, and my husband brought it home, and I was like, are you nuts? This thing's huge. What are we going to do with it? Because it was meant to hang in the lobby of a company. And it's like a life size from like I think it's like mid belly almost up of my father-in-law, life size. I do not have a huge house. I have like a little rancher, right? And so my husband had brought this home. I had no idea what we were going to do with it. And so he just kind of put it behind the couch for the time being until we could figure out what we were going to do with it. And then he was at work one day, and I thought it would be funny. There was a nail on the wall from a picture I had taken down on the wall that's like right next to our door. So it's like on the same wall as the front door. And so I just hung it up there. And the portrait was as wide as the space and probably about a third of the wall in height, right? And I was just being funny because it was the most ridiculous spot to put this picture, right? So my husband comes home that day, and he doesn't see it when he walks in because it's on the same wall. But then he was going back out, like get something from his car or to get the mail out of the mailbox, something, and he saw it, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I love the picture of my dad there." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? I did it as a joke." I was like, "You know what? Fine. If you want it there, it can be there, but I'm telling you right now, I'm decorating it for every holiday." And I did, for every holiday. Now, unfortunately, I do not have pictures of every one that I ever did. I do have some, and I will share those next. But I don't have like one I dressed him up as Batman for Halloween one year, and Christmas every year was like the red and green striped elf hat with the elf ears. I made one out of paper for the portrait, and I don't have any pictures of that one either. But my father-in-law was such a good sport that he actually put on a hat like that for us and posed for a picture. So I will share that so you can see what a good sport my father-in-law was, because he just never got upset about the fact that I was decorating this portrait for every holiday. He would just laugh. He had this huge booming laugh, and he would just laugh about it. And that's another thing. I would like to be a good sport about things. I think that's a lesson I can learn from him. I'm not always the best sport about things, but I'm working on it. So enjoy the decorated portrait of my father-in-law and the picture of him dressing like the Christmas portrait for us. Arthur's great. What a good sport. Oh, so if you did something that made somebody smile or giggle, or somebody did that for you and you want to share that story, please do so. If you have a special memory of a loved one that you want to share with us, I would love to hear that. And if you did something this week where you didn't get in your own way and you didn't let nervousness talk yourself out of doing something, I absolutely want to hear about that, because that's what we're here for. We're here to be mindless and to just do. and make life the best it can be. So make sure to subscribe, hit that notification button so you never miss a random act of mindless. And until next week, stay random, stay mindless. Don't you dare get in your own way. You go out and you seize